Tragedy happens in lives. Unfortunately, it was their lives.
The world wouldn't know his name until after his killing spree had ended. Now, in a rare prison interview, serial killer Joel Rifkin talks about his sickening crimes down to the smallest detail.
I think the scariest thing I learned from these videos is that there are some truly evil people in this world. People that will take others' lives and feel no remorse or pain. In today's video, let's look at some of these people. From Charles Manson going absolutely crazy in an interview, to a hitman talking about some of the people he has taken out. Let's talk about these interviews and more only in today's video. Top 10 disturbing interviews with evil people, part 3. Starting off this countdown, we have Gary Ridgway. Gary Ridgway, otherwise known as the Green River Killer, took the lives of 48 women between 1980 to 1990. But it's believed that his number may be as high as 71 people. He gets his name due to the fact that he would dump the bodies along riverbanks in South King County. In 2001, he was arrested. After his conviction, he did an interview where he talked all about his murders and how he had the desire to kill ever since he was little.
But I took my aggression on. I couldn't take it on my mom. I had to take it on my animals. And
as stated in the interview, he confessed that he started killing at a young age. He had this built-up anger towards his mom, but he couldn't harm her, so he would harm animals instead.
Living things?
Living things, killing animals.
Okay.
Killing animals.
In this interview, he went on to talk more about his victims in detail. Hearing someone confess to murder is just very, very disturbing. In our 9th spot, we have John Hughes. But before I go any further, make sure to hit that thumbs up button because it really helps us out.
I don't think like normal people. Never have. I have racing thoughts. It's been that way since I was a kid. I'm constantly, it doesn't matter if I'm sleeping, if I'm awake, I'm constantly thinking of 100 things at one time.
John Hughes considers himself the Antichrist. He was arrested back in 2008 after killing a trucker at a rest stop along Interstate 29. This dude is intense and incredibly scary. He claims to have killed 15 to 20 people, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. Either way, in this interview for KMBC News, Lara Moretz gets the chance to interview him. And he talks about the people he has taken the lives of, and why he did this.
Rest area, and that was a way for me to gain control, to show, I don't know, I guess assert my dominance, I guess you could say. That'd be the way to put it. And it shut everybody up for a while.
The scariest part of the interview is when Lara asks if he feels bad about killing people. And this was his response.
I don't feel bad about killing anyone.
Not personally, that I've personally done myself, no. I just view things as objects. People, animals, trees, cars, they're just all the same to me.
So no, he feels no remorse. In our 8th spot, we have Jose Martinez.
Explanation because I want to get them. I didn't want the cops to find them. I want to find them myself. We went to this little house. We broke in there and we find one, I shot him.
This dude is one you never want to mess with. And he reveals why during his interview. Basically, Jose was a hitman for a drug cartel. He admitted to killing 3 dozen people as a hitman, and dozens of others just on his own. Many of whom were people that just pissed him off. For example, in this interview he talks about one of his brother-in-law's friends. Whenever the friend would visit, he would tell him to park on the side of the road, not on his driveway. He told him this a number of times, yet he still continued to park on the driveway. So what did he do? He asked the guy to take him for a ride in his truck. He then shot him, just to teach him a lesson.
I told him, didn't I tell you not to park in my driveway? And he said he didn't listen to nobody except his mother. Okay.
Moving on to number 7, we have Charles Manson. Charles Manson was an infamous cult leader who got his followers to carry out a number of murders in the late 1960s. Manson is probably best known for the killing of the actress Sharon Tate. Well, in 1988 he did an interview and people were terribly freaked out by it. In the interview, he is talking gibberish. Half the stuff he says just doesn't make sense. Interviewer Geraldo Rivera tries to understand what Charles is going on about. At one point, Charles just gets so mad at him and starts yelling at him.
No, you who else knows what else you do? Whoa, I said, you haven't seen the bloody trail yet. You haven't seen the bloody trail yet. What do you mean? Oh, it's been worse than that. You think, oh, the 9 was just the first little marbles in the bucket. There's a whole row of people out there that's been getting killed.
At another point, he says, all you want to do is sell death, blood, and fear. So, that's creepy. And then at another point, he just gets up and starts doing this weird dance.
Yeah, I make the laws from here.
Which, according to a number of sources, he did this in a number of interviews randomly. He did this to avoid prison, so people would be like, oh, he's not in the right set of mind, he needs to be placed elsewhere. Moving on, at number 6 we have OTTIS TOOLE. OTTIS TOOLE, or the Jacksonville Cannibal, is a serial killer convicted of 6 counts of murder. He's most famous for killing the son of America's most wanted host, John Walsh. In an interview from 1993, we see how dark and twisted Toole really is. He would talk about his dark desires, like watching an entire city burn. He then went on to justify his killings, saying that taking someone's life is no different than stepping on a bug or eating animal meat. There's way more disturbing stuff that he discusses, but it's just too much to talk about on YouTube. Like, he goes into depth about his killings. It's way too much to hear. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Joel Rifkin.
Tragedy happens in lives. Unfortunately, it was their lives.
The world wouldn't know his name until after his killing spree had ended. Now, in a rare prison interview, serial killer Joel Rifkin talks about his sickening crimes down to the smallest detail.
Joel Rifkin was an American serial killer responsible for taking the lives of 17 women in the 1990s. He was caught in 1993 when cops pulled him over for a missing license plate. But to their horrors, they found his latest victim in his trunk. He was then sentenced to 203 years in prison. In this interview, Joel just seems so proud of himself when he's recalling his crimes. He also talks about the police's interrogation process and why he confessed to the crimes. The most disturbing thing though is when he admits to keeping trophies from each of his victims. He said he did this so that he could remember each victim and what he did to them.
As the numbers started to increase, an ID would, okay, that has a photo, I know who that girl was, or a piece of jewelry, okay, I know that it's from that girl.
In our 4th spot we have Israel Keys. Israel Keys started his killings in 1996 and continued on until March of 2012 when he was finally arrested. He was known for traveling to a number of locations to commit his crimes. Then he would rob banks and homes so that he could afford to travel to kill. In this interview, we see him talk about his killings and how he selected his victims.
When I was smart, I would let them come to me. Just remote area.
People just found it gross how calmly he talks about this all while eating a bagel and drinking. He continued on saying what his strategy was, and that was to grab people in remote locations like parks and campgrounds, even cemeteries.
You might not get exactly what there's not as much to choose from in a manner of speaking, but there's also no witnesses really, there's nobody else around.
In our 3rd spot we have Chris Watts. If you've seen the Netflix documentary on Chris Watts and his family, then you know how messed up this whole story is. Chris is guilty of killing his wife and their 2 daughters. When he was brought into questioning, he denied having anything to do with this. But after failing the polygraph test, the police started nailing him hard. That's when he came up with this elaborate lie about what happened.
After that, I went downstairs and I don't want to protect her. What? I don't want to protect her. You don't want to protect her?
It's crazy seeing him put on this whole show and turning his wife into a criminal, saying she was the one that hurt their daughters and then he hurt her as a result.
Huh? She hurt him? Yeah. And well now, not her. You hurt her.
In the end, and the officers saw right through his fabricated story. But still, it's crazy. Moving on to number 2, we have Richard Kuklinski.
I could get over on you, or get you to do what I wanted you to do, is to hurt your family.
Richard started killing at a very young age. He committed his first murder when he was just 13 years old. Over the span of his career, he took the lives of around 200 people. Could even be more. I mean, he would often kill homeless people just for fun. On top of that, he worked as a hitman for the mafia. So yeah, his count is pretty high. It was revealed that any person who was ever deemed his friend was eventually killed off by him. In 1988, he was caught by an undercover cop and sent to prison. In this interview, it is truly disturbing to see the lack of remorse he has. Listen to him talk about him shooting a guy.
And I went pop, 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 and then I went pop, pop. And I could see the material moving on his jacket as these things. Actually, they made little marks on it. On the jacket, I guess they were burn marks.
I think the scariest part was all of a sudden during the interview, he gets this messed up smile on his face and just stares at the interviewer for an uncomfortable amount of time. I legit got uncomfortable for the interviewer. And then after that long, unbearable pause, he starts asking the interviewer questions.
What do you think about me? Anything good, bad, or indifferent?
It just made me cringe. It's so bad. And in our number 1 spot, we have Zachary Davis. This interview gave me the chills. It makes me so uncomfortable. So this is the interview of Zachary Davis. In August of 2012, he took his mother's life before trying to set his house on fire with his brother inside. Now, Zachary has been diagnosed with a number of mental illnesses, including schizophrenia and depressive disorder. In 2007, when he was 9 years old, his father passed away from ALS, and that apparently started this all. He just spiraled out of control and became withdrawn. He even had an app on his phone about serial killers, and in his notebooks he would write about disturbing things, like you can't spell slaughter without laughter. The creepiest part of this interview is when Dr. Phil asks him about the murder weapon, which was a sledgehammer. At one point while discussing it, he literally smiles as if he's proud of what he did. That sent shivers down my spine. It is terrifying. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let's move quickly along to our comment shout out portion. I'll be shouting out comments from the video Top 10 Dark Things the Vikings Did. Stephen Curry commented, shower thought. When reading, you're looking at a dead tree and hallucinating. You gotta specify that you're talking about like reading a book, because I'm reading a teleprompter right now and that doesn't make sense. But technically, you're looking at a dead tree and yeah, I guess. Callan Animations commented, I've been waiting for you guys to do something like this. Anyways, love your videos. Oh, thanks so much. Love you. Don't know who you are, but we'll go with it. Vicky Heron commented, I feel like Lindsay is so good that she could be a motivational speaker. Okay, I'll become a motivational speaker. Like, about what though? Stay in school. When life gets you down, pick yourself back up. I don't know why I went into that voice, but hey, if this doesn't work out, catch me at your school presentations. Alright guys, that's all the comments I'm shouting out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya.